Hey guys, it's me, Bren of Creative Living with Bren Haas, and I'm on the dome today, and I've got a special guest just for you today. We're gonna love it. It is cold outside. It's like the last time I looked, it is 14 degrees here in Northwest Ohio, but in the dome, it's a cozy 52 degrees. I wish the sun would have stayed out a little longer to be even warmer in here, but so I'm definitely in the mood to talk tropics and houseplants like this fern. I have a special guest for you today, and here we go. On today's show, we connect with Raffaele Dilallo of OhioTropics.com. Raffaele shares with us his passion for houseplants and some orchid growing tips you won't want to miss. Today's presentation is brought to you by Amazon Prime. I've been a Prime subscriber for almost a year now, and I absolutely love it. I can buy plants, books, and even fresh groceries at great prices. I think my favorite thing about Amazon Prime is the Prime music that is included with the membership. As a Prime member, you can stream over 2 million songs ad-free, listen on any Echo device, and take your music anywhere with you offline to listen. I love listening to my favorite playlists in my dome while I'm gardening, or even in the kitchen while I'm cooking it up. So I hope you will take advantage of the link in the video description and purchase your subscription today. This is an Amazon affiliate link, so I make a little money off of your purchase today. Just go to brenhaas.com/recommends/Amazon Prime, all one word. I think we're live on here.
Yep. Hi, Brian.
Hey there, Raffaele, right?
Yes. Thanks,
Yay!
Brian.
I love that name. It's so pretty. Handsome. Sorry. So I'm just so excited to talk to you because you're a fellow Ohioan.
Yes.
Right?
It's nice to find someone in Ohio. So thanks for
Especially-
contacting me.
I know. I just love your Instagram. It's so inspiring because I'm totally into growing houseplants, and I can tell you like it too, right?
I do, for sure.
All right, so maybe we should tell everybody. So we're in Ohio, which I'm guessing, do you know your hardiness zone?
So in my area here, it's probably 6A, I believe.
Okay. You're a little warmer than me. I'm up in Northeast or Northwest, so yeah. Very cool. And so have you been gardening like for a long time, or tell me your story?
I've been gardening my whole life. My family's Italian, and they came from Italy. I was actually the only one born in this country.
Okay.
So Italians are big gardeners, right?
Yeah.
So my grandmother, my parents, my great aunt and uncle, they all had gigantic vegetable gardens, and grew all sorts of plants in pots outside and lots of house plants. So I grew up around that, and then it just kind of went from there.
Yeah, and great cooks, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Right?
What's your favorite meal?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah?
I'm notorious for my eggplant parmesan.
Oh, I love eggplants. Oh, do you get to grow any eggplants?
I have in the past, yeah, for sure. For sure.
There's some great varieties out there.
Oh yeah.
But today we're going to talk about houseplants.
Yes.
You were just showing me earlier that the fern that you have there is just beautiful.
Yeah, it's gigantic.
Oh my gosh. Oh, wow.
It's a pretty big one. Yeah.
It's huge.
It's about 3 years old.
I have a hard time with the ferns in the house. They do great out here in the dome for the most part. But in the house, do you have like a little tip? Like what do people commonly do wrong to keep those things alive?
For ferns, well, I think probably the most important part for ferns is they hate to be dry. So watch your moisture in the pot. So if you let them repeatedly get bone dry all the time, you're really going to weaken the plant.
Yeah. Oh, there's Puppy.
So, there's my dog.
I love it. It's
Sorry about
okay.
that.
That's so real. That's good. You like dogs too.
But that's probably the most important thing is be careful with the watering, and you don't want them to get too dry. So it's probably the most important. And of course, the bright and direct light is important too. But the water, you really have to watch them with the ferns.
That's awesome. So, and that helps a lot because I have a tendency to overwater things, and you have to be careful, don't you?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I see you have a lot of houseplants. Have you
tons.
counted? Do you have a head count?
I did count at one time, and then I bought more. So it's easily over 120, easily.
Wow, look at you.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
Yeah. But they're scattered all over, a lot in the sunroom. But
that's great. What do you like most about growing houseplants?
I just like to be around. I like to be surrounded by plants everywhere. It just kind of gives a good vibe to the room.
Yeah.
It makes me feel calm, and it just feels good to be around them.
Yeah, totally.
So yeah.
I get that. Okay, so I was checking out the orchids you had on your Instagram, which people can follow you on Instagram. How do they find you?
It's just Ohio Tropics, one word.
Easy. And you've got a beautiful Instagram. And so I was hoping today we could talk a little bit about orchids.
Of course.
And I know you have some there with you.
I do, yeah.
Earlier.
Yeah, let me grab one here.
Look at this.
So I have a lot of different varieties, but this is one of my favorites. Here's a large white one. This is a Phalaenopsis orchid, or moth orchid, as most people know them. But I have a ton of these, and they're really easy to grow. A lot of people are scared of growing them, but they're really not hard once you know what you're doing.
Yeah.
So
I think the biggest thing is you see them in the stores, like the garden center or grocery stores. You can get orchids all over the place nowadays, which is awesome. Even in Ohio, which, we've got smaller grocery stores and things.
Sure.
And so you bring this beautiful orchid home with beautiful blooms. And then, it takes a while. They bloom a long time. But then once the blooms start to drop,
they sure do.
That's the problem. How do you get them to bloom again?
That's when the problems start, right?
Right?
Right. Now, what I like to do with the moth orchids is, obviously you want to enjoy them when you take them home, right?
Yes.
So I put them on display wherever I want, as long as it's not in hot sun or anything like that.
Yeah.
So I'll put them on display, even though it's not where I would normally grow it.
Okay.
So enjoy it while it lasts. And then after they're done blooming, this one I showed you I actually have in my living room, so I just brought it here to show you. But after they're done blooming, then you want to put them back by your window. So I find a lot of success in, you have to place them right in front of a window. So I've had people come to me and say, oh, my orchid's not reblooming. What am I going to do? And so a lot of times I ask them, just send me a picture of where you're growing it. So one time I got a picture, and it was on top of a giant cabinet close to the ceiling, several feet away from a window. And I said, it's not going to bloom that way. You have to have it right next to a window. So Eastern exposure window is fabulous for pretty much almost all orchids. You can grow almost anything in Eastern exposure. So even north. So with moth orchids, you want as bright indirect light. And you can have a little bit of sun, but a little bit of morning sun is fine, but no hot afternoon sun.
Okay.
So bright indirect light with a little bit, if it's dappled, filtered sunlight, that's fine too.
Okay.
But they don't like a lot of direct sun, but bright and direct.
Awesome. I was reading the other day too on there's great websites for orchid information, even on your website at ohiotropics.com. But there's also the American Orchid Society.
Yes, that's a great one.
Yeah, I saw in there they actually recommended like ceiling fan, like a fan, a nice air circulation.
Yes.
So,
so orchids are they're epiphytes. So they grow on they grow on branches and trees in the tropics and all that. So they need good air circulation. They need, careful watering. You can't let them sit in water. They're going to rot. And typically high humidity is good, but really the most important thing are the light and the way you water them. And I don't know if you've seen the orchids where they say, oh, just give them a few ice cubes. Have you seen that?
Yes, I hate that.
Yeah, and that's what I do. Thank you.
Just drown it. Right?
It was exactly. So I was at the grocery store. I was at the grocery store not that long ago, and I overheard two ladies talking, and they go, "Oh, look at these pretty orchids." They had a whole display of moth orchids, and then one of them goes, "Oh, but I'm kind of scared to grow them. They seem hard to grow." And then the other one goes, "Oh no, you just give them 2 or 3 ice cubes every week." And I overheard, and I said, "Actually, no, you don't."
No, I know.
No. And what I like to tell people is, these are plants from the tropics, right?
Right.
They're native to Southeast Asia. And I said, "Do you ever see monkeys with popsicles?" No. Okay. They know nothing close to ice at all. So
Right.
you're not going to get enough water. You're not going to get the medium moist enough. And also, you might even damage the roots from the ice.
Yeah.
But like you
I
said,
love it.
I took mine.
You're like me. I see people talking about things, and I'm like, wait. No.
I can't help it, right?
Right.
Right.
Because we've made those mistakes. So if you could share with people, that's awesome. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. So the way I water, I mean, you held up your watering wand there. I will take mine to the sink. I'll take mine to the kitchen sink or the bathroom sink, and I'll turn on some, tepid water. You don't want cold water.
Right.
And I just soak the bark mix.
Yeah, because that's what they're planted in. Yep, they're planted in like pieces. They almost look like mulch, like right, kind of.
Exactly. Yeah, chunks of bark. So a lot of them grow in bark, and some of them grow in sphagnum moss, and I have some growing in that as well.
Nice. And literally just let that water just soak it through, flow on through. Yep. Right?
That's right.
And then what do you do?
And then I make sure it's, completely drained, and then I put it back by the window. And you also want to be careful. I have one here that this one has a new bloom stalk here too. You want to make sure if you get the plant wet, if you get any water in any of the crevices here, you don't want it to sit because it could rot. So I either just do that, kind of blow any water out of the crevices because it could rot if you leave it there.
Smart.
So they're really not that hard.
Yeah. Oh man. And I'm sure you'll be sharing on your Instagram when that one blooms, right?
Yes, of course.
Yeah. Because I mean, it takes a while. It's not like daffodils and things that bloom quick.
Right.
It takes a while.
It does.
Very cool.
But they last a very long time, typically 3 to 5 months. And then after that, you can either cut the whole flower stalk off, or you can cut it 1 or 2 nodes below the bottom flower, and sometimes they'll branch off.
Okay.
So,
maybe explain what'd you say, a node? Yay.
It's a pretty yellow one.
Look at that.
Yeah.
Gorgeous. I don't see a lot of yellows. That's pretty.
Yeah, and this one actually it has a scent to it, which most of the Phalaenopsis hybrids don't. The species do, but after all the breeding and whatever. But this one has a really light scent, which is nice.
I love it.
And I don't know if you can see it. I'm going to turn it. Can you see where I cut?
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So you see these things here that have the little, can you see that?
Yeah, I can see that. Okay. Is that the node or
that's
whatever?
That's the node, yeah.
Node.
So there's a bunch of them all along the stems. So for this one, this was the original stalk when it bloomed, okay? So I took whatever the bottom flower was, let's say this is the original stalk, and you're gonna go down 1 node, and you can see there's a little covering and a little bump on the stem.
Yeah.
And you're gonna cut it right above the node, and if you're lucky, it'll branch off and start blooming again.
So cool.
So you can do that, or you can cut the entire stalk off, and then the plant will start growing, and it'll save its energy then to put into the leaves, and then next year it'll maybe have a better show for you. But there's no right or wrong. For some plants I cut, I snip it and see if it grows back, and some of them I just cut the whole thing off. So whatever you feel like. That
one is gorgeous. Where would you recommend where people could find different varieties? I mean, because that's a neat one. I guess you got lucky.
So this one, I think I've purchased a lot of mine from Home Depot or Lowe's, grocery stores.
Yes.
And if you want a more unique place online, I really like Logi's greenhouses.
Oh yeah.
They have
yeah.
amazing plants there. So
cool.
that's a good place for online.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, I'm trying to think locally if any. A lot of my local garden centers are closed, so you find them where you can.
Okay.
I like going up to Michigan because I know
Right.
I saw some really neat like miniature orchids at Whole Foods. Go figure.
Oh yeah, they have beautiful plants there too.
Yeah, like we don't really have one in Northwest Ohio, not yet anyway. So, but anyhow, how fun.
Yeah.
Okay, so have you ever gotten to go to, or have you ever gone to like a a flower show where like the Orchid Society's there, or if I know there's a whole group of orchid growers.
Yeah.
Have you? Yeah.
So there's actually, sorry, my dog's again.
It's okay. That's all right.
So there's actually an orchid show at the Cleveland Botanical Gardens that's going to start, I believe, the next month or so.
Nice.
So the American Orchid Society chapter, does, I think they have a few booths there, and they do a show as well.
Cool.
So those are, any local botanical gardens is another opportunity to buy plants as well. So
so really just if you're not in Northwest Ohio and you're Cleveland, or I know Michigan has a big orchid show up there as well, I guess you would just maybe look on that Orchid Society page. I bet they have the shows there. Maybe, I don't know, we'll look it up.
Yeah, you can. It'll probably have all the shows nationally across the country. So
it's so cool.
Yeah, that's a good resource for sure.
There's just so many different orchids. I mean, like the ones you showed, and then those little tiny baby, like all the little baby ones. I don't know.
Yeah, I have. Let me see. I don't think I have. I don't have any. I had some other varieties in bloom.
Yeah, that's the one thing. That's one thing I don't have in the dome is an orchid. I've been meaning to try just to see what would happen. It does, it gets cool at night though. I mean, we drop down to no lower than 40, so that might not be so good.
Okay. But you know what? There are varieties that like that. You can probably try cymbidiums because they actually need the cooler nighttime temperatures in order to bloom.
Really?
So there's options.
Okay,
Yeah,
I'll have to look that up. Very cool.
Yeah.
That would be exciting.
Sure.
All right. So let's see. We covered the light. We covered how to water them, how to prune them.
Yep.
I think we got everything. What do you think?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. I mean, that's what most people, I think the light is a very big thing. And you really have to have these plants right in front of a window.
Yeah.
It's not like, some plants you can have far away from a window and they'll survive. Some of the foliage plants, like Chinese evergreens or snake plants, they'll survive. But an orchid, you will not get it to rebloom if you don't have it in front of a window. So
right, that is good. Between
that and the proper watering, I mean, it doesn't really take much. Most people think they're hard, but they're actually one of the easier plants to grow, I think, once you know those things.
Well, I'm definitely going to give it a try again out in the dome. I'm going to do it in the dome. So let's see if people want to find you on the web, where can they find you?
Yeah, so I have a blog site and it's www.ohiotropics.com. So I post various, I try to post once or twice a month on various topics dealing with houseplants. In the summer, I might have an article, with outdoor plants, but it's mostly, I'd say mostly houseplants at this point, with a little bit of variety here and there.
Very cool.
And I like to share a lot of, they're very informative articles, and I also do that on my Instagram. I try to give tips with not all of my pictures, but a lot of them to help people.
Yeah, that's what I liked about your page. You actually had great facts in there about the houseplants, which is awesome. Very cool. Thank you for taking the time to hang out with me today here on this cold day in Ohio.
Of course.
I can even see the snow reflection in your window too. It's like, oh, it's only January.
Yeah.
Thank goodness for houseplants to keep everything green. All right. Well, thank you for joining me. Thanks, guys. Be sure to click over to brenhaus.com where you'll find the link to this interview and other great presentations featuring amazing people. That's at brenhaus.com. Click up at the top. Let's connect.